Hi, my name is Will Nunziata, New York City-based director and creator of theater, television, and film, and also proud FENIX Global Artist Ambassador. Today, I am thrilled to be speaking with acclaimed singer-songwriter, ALICE BRIGHTSKY. For more on ALICE, you can read more about her right below this video, but in the meantime, take a look and a listen at her incredible song, American Town.
American town, American town, American town, American town. Well, the windows busted and that track don't hardly run no more. Been left out in the rain, the rust stay clean right through the floor. But you get stuck when you try to shift the gears. That's no different than anything around here. Around here. Well, she runs on diesel, not on gasoline. Yeah, the wheels of progress, they turn slow in this machineless broke down palace that we like to call a home. Well, that truck don't hardly run no more, but at least it's
Well, hello, ALICE BRIGHTSKY. How are you?
Hello, Will. I'm good. It's great to meet you.
So nice to meet you, and I'm so excited that the audience got a little sneak peek of your incredible, not only song, but music video for American Town. I want to know, well, I do know because I researched, but I want the audience to know how you came up not only with the song, but why the setting for the music video was so appropriate.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the song itself is pretty old. I wrote it a long time ago, and I wrote it about my hometown. I grew up in Sussex, New Jersey, which is a very rural town in the sort of the boondocks. If you can imagine that New Jersey has boondocks, it does, and I'm from them. Sort of on the border of New York and Pennsylvania. And, you know, it suffered the plight of many American small towns, you know, the flight of industry. You get this sort of like upwardly mobile class that moves in to the outskirts. And there's a little bit of rejuvenation of some of the like the local shops, but there's still this sort of left behind sort of indigenous culture, if you will, that you know, is out of work or struggles to find work. There's, you know, this impoverished class, and that song just really is about how we haven't solved that problem, you know, and sometimes that problem gets forgotten about. And of course, with the recent election and with the Trump administration, that problem came front and center. And we were taking a trip, my husband and my two sons, up to the Catskills last October. And where we were staying, we rented a cabin, was really a lot like my hometown, very rural. And we just were bombarded with Trump signs, and not that that's unusual, but there was just so much anger in some of the signage, like not just like Trump supporters, but people that were really angry at what they sort of understood to be the problem of why they're in the destitute situation they're in. And it really struck me. The song kind of came back to me in living color, and I had brought my travel guitar with me, so I started playing the guitar. And as we were driving around, I was just shooting footage on my iPhone, just sort of thinking, I'm going to do something with this. And I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but like I shot like this old beat up truck that we stumbled across on a hike. And, you know, I was trying to catch a lot of the signage that was in the area. And, you know, when I talk about it, I have to be really cautious that I'm not like down on, I'm not down on Trump supporters. Like I didn't vote for him. I'm not a Trump supporter, but I have many friends that I converse with and interact with who did. But I think that what the Trump administration really brought out and what this election brought out is that there's a big problem in middle America that we all have to kind of put our heads together and solve. And we have to kind of get past the mythology of why the problem is there, which exists on both sides. Everybody's got their own mythology and narrative about why that problem exists. And we have to like recognize kids coming home with backpacks full of food, like getting sent home from school with backpacks full of food because they don't have enough to eat over the weekend. So on a Friday, sending these kids home. And of course, it's a problem not just in rural America, it's in urban America as well. But I was just sort of focused on this sort of discrete issue in our sort of more rural communities that, hey, you know, we got to solve this, and we got to kind of cross our party lines to come together to figure out the problem and do away with the mythology on each side. And it was that sort of thinking and the footage that I took that kind of wove itself into the video and, brought the song to life again for me and wove its way into the video that I took the next couple of months to really work on.
Well, Alice, what I love so much, there are two things I want to mention. One is the beauty of being an artist and maybe writing something during one time of your life where it seems pertinent to get it off your chest and release it, maybe for some healing or just to get it off your chest, but then to not throw it out, to put it away, and then for you to re-look at it with a new POV and with some stakes. And now that it's like this beautiful, shiny object that couldn't be more pertinent than ever. I think that's so cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's how I feel about it. I mean, it's very close to me, and even if nobody watched it or really listened to it, I feel proud of it, and I'm glad I did it because it was cathartic and, kind of.
Let's talk about the views. Sorry to get into like tweets. You have so many views on it already.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I mean, were you expecting over 100,000 views in less than 2 months?
Well, I sort of was, because I did this. I launched a campaign that sort of put me as an up next video in front of other artists that I think are like-minded or have similar fanship. So there was some strategy there, and it's a test. It's a test for how can I sort of expose myself to people that I think would like my content. Because I'm still new to actually using my YouTube channel in any sort of, substantial way. And I'm really late to the party on that. And that's largely because I'm a Luddite and I kind of like being in nature and woods. But in this day and age, we really need to leverage technology, and we really need to, I get it, we got to immerse ourselves. So this was a strategy whereby we bought some ad. I say I have some friends who helped me do this. We bought some ad space. We bought some time to throw the video strategically in front of other videos, like the Up Next, as I was saying, became like this Up Next video in front of other artists that I think our fanships kind of resonate and our styles resonate, and that it went beyond what we expected. So it worked.
Well, I love it. And I mean, in addition to you being not only obviously an amazing singer-songwriter, you're a savvy business person. And I think for any artist looking at you, but also looking at, I want to touch on one other point, what you mentioned, then I want to ask my next question, because you bring it up, such a great point. I mean, I don't want to get into the politics of it all, but what the beauty of your song, especially American Town, does is that in a show don't tell way, without getting preachy, without getting TED talky, without saying, ooh, I'm a liberal Democrat in New York, you are showing and not telling the beauty of conversation that I think for so long, because of social media, unfortunately, one downside is we are all literally and figuratively in our own timelines. We are literally and figuratively only viewing and liking people who are like-minded. And what you did, Alice Brightsky, so beautifully and elegantly, is that you opened it up to what it is to be a human. Because we are all human and we are all going through the human condition, one step in front of the other. And I just was very moved. I was very moved by the song and the video, and I just needed to get on my soapbox to reveal that.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. Yeah, I call that, so many people call it this, but I refer to it as the echo chamber. And some of the friends that are a little bit more sort of, far left really have a hard time understanding, I think, how I can know or be friends with people. And I guess I wouldn't say that I have friends on the far right. That doesn't really exist, but I do have, I know, I think that term, depending on who's using it and wielding it, can mean different things. But I do have friends that are squarely on the right. And sometimes there's this confusion over how can I have conversation or be engaged with those people who, did XYZ, voted for so-and-so. And my answer is that how else are we supposed to make progress in this world if we just fence ourselves off and all we hear are the views that we agree with? We're never going to evolve. They'll never evolve. It's like we have to.
And also, you're bringing up a good point. I think it's also leaning into what's uncomfortable, which is maybe hearing something you may not agree with, but perhaps, just perhaps, God forbid, if we were to listen to one another in one communal space,
Yeah.
You know what? I hear you. Although I don't agree, I have felt angry before. Although I don't agree, I feel passionate about a lot of things like you do. Like there's got to be this common ground. Anyway, I want to keep going because also your story is so inspiring. The fact of the matter is, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
you went after your career, then you took time to build a beautiful life for yourself with family. And I'm curious to know, and you now going back at it with a new pair of eyes, in a different stage of life, how is that made your musicality and your artistry that much more rich?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I've got a lot of life behind me now. So that is a big difference. A lot of my music, I have a big catalog of songs, and a bulk, a large bulk of those songs were written in my 20s, and I was really sort of focused on the usual suspects of songwriting, right? Love and loss, and of course, I was over sort of estimating my place in the world or underestimating my place in the world, and sort of everything was very dramatic, right? And it had a lot to do with finding that right soul person, sort of forte place in the world. Now I have the person that is my soulmate. I have my place kind of, I think, figured out in the world. I have the sort of domestic things that, we can argue are important or not important, but they sort of help maintain sort of a semblance of consistency in life. And
Alice, by the way, sorry to interrupt. My family was so surprised when I got engaged, let alone married. My husband is my ballast. I love the fact that, you're talking about this because I can relate. And, to have a foundation to come home to,
yes,
I think makes our art that much more rich.
yes. And it's stability too. And, there's something to instability in art for sure. And being tormented and plays a large role in a lot of, great art. But at this point in my life, I'm sort of, when it comes to like, how has this affected my art or my music? Well, it's sort of shifted my focus away from me. And let me talk about how tormented I am and how difficult life is for me. And like, let's look at, like, on this album, let's take a look at the world around us a little bit. Let's dig up some of those artifacts of, moments in time when I was paying attention to more than just me. And those are sort of timeless artifacts of my songwriting. And then it spurs me to write new things, like the song on my album, which is Jersey City, is all about my mom and about her journey in life and the legacies that, followed her and now sort of, are with me to do something or not do something with. So that's where my songwriting is going. It's going outward, away from the angst, the anxiety, the sort of things that 20, early 30-year-old sort of people are kind of grappling with. I've sort of got those, at least I'm sick of talking about it. Maybe that's it. Like focused more externally and maybe playfully too, like I'm also interested in playful takes on the world and maybe, occupying some other skins and kind of testing out role playing in my music a little bit more, because that's a lot of fun too.
Well, look, at the end of the day, Alice, I could speak with you forever, but just to go on to that last point, you're a great storyteller, and you're speaking with someone right here who was a performer for 25 years professionally, but as a director now. You are such a great storyteller, and I can't wait to lean into these different POVs and characters that you're going to be diving into, because it's a risk that takes so much courage, but also something that not many people can do, because you're a great craftsperson. You've done the work, not only on your artistry, but you're using life and allowing it to pour through you. And I can't wait to see what you come up with next. And I'm so grateful that we're connected.
Thank you so much, Will. This was such a blast. It's great to meet you. And I hope that you continue doing what you're doing as well, because it's a great service, I think, to the whole artist community and to those who appreciate the arts.
Thank you.